What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry, and this is Steelers Talk. On today's show, I'm going to be covering the latest news and rumors surrounding your Pittsburgh Steelers, what's going on, all that different kind of stuff. Can't wait to break it all down with you guys. But first, make sure that are you guys going to a Steelers game? Get in the comment section. Let me know. Which game are you going to? Are you going to a road game? I know that Steelers fans are the best travelers in the National Football League. So are you going to a Steelers game this season? And if so, tell me which one before we get things going. So now let's start with the first rumor here that Chase Young, edge rusher, former number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft back in 2020, apparently the Commanders are listening to trade offers for him right now, and there's some people on Steelers Twitter that are suggesting the Steelers should go out and get him because apparently Mike Tomlin is quite infatuated with a guy like Chase Young. Back in 2020, as we all know, Mike Tomlin said this to Young back on the field when the Steelers played the then Washington football team. "I don't ever want to lose enough games to get a guy like you." You know what I mean? Because you got to lose 14, 15 games to get a guy that look like you. So here's the thing, guys. This isn't going to happen. At least not yet. Okay? I think that Mike Tomlin likes Chase Young's game. He loves the potential that, being a guy his size and being as strong as he is and in his athletic profile. I mean, the upside there is incredible, but I just really don't think this is going to happen. And there's a couple reasons why. Number one, I don't think the price is going to be right. Now, what do you mean by that, Jack? What I mean by that is I think the Commanders are going to be asking for far too much. I think they're going to be wanting a first-round pick, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be willing to deal that out. What if Kenny Pickett doesn't pan out this season? You're going to want that first-round draft pick to potentially go and get another quarterback next year. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that first-round pick is massively, massively valuable, and right now the Steelers don't need another edge rusher. Why would you give up a first-rounder to go out and get a position that you don't really need right now? It just doesn't make sense. So that's the first and probably the primary reason why. Number two, where does he fit on the team? I don't think that he fits really anywhere with the Steelers right now, if I'm being completely frank with you, because you already have your amazing outside linebacker pass rushing duo in TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. And he just signed Marcus Golden to be a rotational piece. You drafted Nick Herbig in the middle rounds of the draft this year. He's been playing exclusively at outside linebacker during OTAs at this point. This is a great room. And David Perales is another great undrafted free agency option. I just don't see where he fits in this room unless you trade Alex Highsmith. But I don't think that Washington would even want Alex Highsmith on their team, which is reason number 3 for why I don't think this is going to work. I don't think Highsmith is something that the Commanders would want in a trade. I think they would want a first-round pick, and that's about it. Because what's the reason why the Commanders are trading a guy like Chase Young? It's because their defensive line is already super expensive, and you're already paying Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne big money. You got Montez Sweat on the roster that you're going to be paying a big extension to most likely coming up here this season. And the reason why Chase Young is potentially on the chopping block right now is because you don't want to pay big money, big bucks to all 4 members of your defensive line. So why would they want another guy that's going to be a free agent in 2024 and needs a big payday coming up here? It just doesn't make sense from the Commanders' point of view. So for those 3 reasons, I just don't think it's going to happen. However, I think that if Highsmith ends up walking, and by the way, that's not a prediction. I think Highsmith will get that long-term deal done with the Steelers this offseason. But let's just play the what-if game. If Highsmith walks in free agency and Young is there as well, very unlikely scenario, but if it happens, I think that becomes a possibility. Okay, Mike Tomlin is obviously infatuated with Chase Young's game. Putting him on the opposite side of TJ Watt could be a potentially generational type outside linebacker duo. But at the end of the day, I just really don't see it happening. So pick one for me in the comment section. Which edge rusher would you rather have on the other side of TJ Watt? Would you rather have Chase Young type CY, or would you rather have Alex Highsmith type AH down there in the comment section? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here, do me a favor. Go down to the comment section, find that pinned comment. It's right there at the top, and answer today's question. So for me, I am picking Alex Highsmith. I know that the Steelers defense is incredible when both TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are on the field. Chase Young has had some injuries, a very major knee injury back in 2021, has not been productive since his rookie season back in 2020. And I know Alex Highsmith is young enough as it is already, and he just had a 14.5 sack season. I am not trading him away to get somebody with more risk involved with his name. So I'm going with Alex Highsmith for now. I guess we'll see how the 2023 season pans out. But for right now, it's definitely Alex Highsmith for me. So now the next story on today's News and Rumors video is that the Sporting News has ranked the Pittsburgh Steelers as the #1 offseason for 2023 in the National Football League. We covered ESPN, who had the Steelers at like number 10 last week, and that's just absolutely ridiculous. The Sporting News knows what they're talking about here. They ranked the Steelers #1. This is what Vinny Iyer from the Sporting News had to say about the Steelers offseason. The Steelers upgraded all their key weaknesses, led by upgrading the overall left side blocking in front of Kenny Pickett and Najee Harris. Holcomb will help them clean up much better on the second level, while Peterson and Porter can be a dynamic veteran rookie starter duo at corner. Then he continues to say here, Mike Tomlin should be pleased with the work GM Omar Khan did. The winning season streak should continue with a good shot at a playoff run, and they ended up giving, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers an A grade. They only gave an A grade to just a couple of teams. So, of course, they give an A grade to their #1 team this offseason, which, of course, was your Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me tell you, this Vinny guy, he knows ball a little bit. He knows what's up here in the city of Bridges, where Omar Khan is absolutely building a sleeping giant. If Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada get their stuff together, I've been saying it all offseason, this is going to be a Super Bowl contention type of team. Can't wait to see what they do here in 2023, and they've definitely improved quite a bit. So coming up here, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Colin Cowherd, Fox Sports' lead host there, who's been ripping the Steelers lately, and I'm not having it. So I'm going to be breaking down his comments here in just a second and tell you why Colin's a clown. But first, you can go ahead and bet on the NBA Finals by going to BetUS, our sponsor today, chatsports.com/bet, and get a 125% deposit bonus when you use promo code Steelers125. So what does that mean? Let's say you put in $100 to use on your bets, okay? BetUS then is going to give you an additional 125% of that amount. So if you put in 100, it's going to be 125 additional dollars to use on your bets. And right now the NBA Finals are going on. Of course, baseball is going on. The Stanley Cup Finals are going on as well. There's a ton of stuff to bet on. So now is the time to take advantage of this great deal. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use Steelers125 to get that 125% deposit bonus. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about what Fox Sports' Colin Cowherd had to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers and maybe why they've struggled over the last couple of years. This is what Colin had to say. They can't fix their offensive line. Do you know the 4 teams in the NFL that lead the league in spending money on the defensive side? Chargers, Seahawks, Bills, Steelers. All 4 have defensive coaches. And he continues to say here, last 5 years, those 4 teams that he just listed are 6-12 in the playoffs. 8 years, they've missed the playoffs entirely. Now, for me, I think this is a very bad take by Colin Cowherd. Now, I agree with the overall sentiment that offensive coaches tend to do better from a record perspective, especially in the modern NFL. It's an offensive game. If you can have a good offensive play caller, really does change everything for your franchise. Just look at the Miami Dolphins, especially if you have a young quarterback that needs developing. Having an offensive head coach really goes a long way. But for guys like Mike Tomlin, Sean McDermott, some of these other coaches that are defensive head coaches, Bill Belichick, for God's sakes, these guys can win too. It's about leadership. It's about creating a standard of winning. And Mike Tomlin has absolutely done that for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And his comparison there, saying like, oh, those 4 teams have only made they've missed the playoffs in 8 times out of the last 5 years or whatever it was. Okay, so out of 20 potential playoff trips during those 5 seasons, those teams made it 12 out of 20. Okay, that's an over 50% mark. I mean, are we really saying that that's not success in the National Football League? I just think it's a really awful take by Colin here. I just don't think it applies to the Pittsburgh Steelers whatsoever, because I'm a believer in Mike Tomlin. I'm a believer in the Roonies. I'm a believer in Omar Khan. I think the Steelers have something cooking here in the city of Pittsburgh. So are the Steelers limited with head coach Mike Tomlin? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section by typing hell yes or hell no. Really do appreciate everybody that gets their comments in. I'm really interested to see what people have to say. about this particular question. But for me, if you haven't already guessed, my answer is hell no. I'm a believer in Mike Tomlin. I think that they've got something great here in the city of champions, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I think that, just the continual culture of winning is just so hard to keep up. I mean, the only guys that have really been able to do it over the last 2 decades, arguably, is Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin. That's it. It's incredibly hard to do. And what Mike Tomlin has been able to do here in the city of Pittsburgh, it's absolutely fantastic. I think with Big Ben in his waning years, he would kind of deteriorate, towards the end of the season. And now he's got a new blood in there in Kenny Pickett. He's got a great roster here. I think this Steelers team is ready to once again rise up the ranks of the National Football League. So before I go, I do have some final news items, specifically around OTAs. First of it, which being Nick Herbig. Okay, so mid-round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, outside linebacker, has been impressing his teammates and coaches at OTAs to this point. He has certainly been a winner. And he's somebody that is expected to be a rotational pass rusher in those third down situations, second and long situations, obvious passing downs is what Nick Herbig is expected to be playing in this year. Apparently, he's been doing a great job showing off his talent attacking pass rushers so far in practices. Hope he has a really great rookie campaign in 2023. And then speaking of rookies, another rookie is starting to make a name for himself, and it's 7th rounder, last pick of the draft this year for Omar Khan, Spencer Anderson, interior offensive lineman out of Maryland. And it's looking like that he was a pretty darn solid pickup. Okay, there's people talking about cutting Kevin Dotson because Spencer Anderson is looking so good at OTA practices that they think he's going to make the 53-man roster, and he's going to be able to be a swing guard / center for the Steelers this year. That is great news that he is turning out to be a pretty decent player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I hope that, he can be that nice swing interior offensive lineman for them this year. That's going to be it for today's show, guys. Really do appreciate all the true Yinzers that made it to the end of today's show. And if you're a real one to the Steelers Talk channel, go ahead and identify yourselves down in the comments by typing real one in all caps to let me know that you are a real one, made it to the end of the show.